Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. We are going to discuss some things for nonprofits, especially that will help with end of year giving, which is kind of that peak time of the year that most organizations are looking for some ways to raise some additional dollars. So, thanks for joining me today as we get into this. My name is Meryl Stewart. I'm CEO of Marketing and Business Solutions, and I'm glad you're here. As always, if you have any questions as I go, please feel free to put them in the comment section, and I will try my best to answer those questions before we finish up our session today. And if you don't get a chance to, feel free to leave them in there as well, and I will respond to you after this broadcast is finished. So let's jump into this. The holidays, the most wonderful time of the year when everybody's in the giving spirit. And for nonprofits, it's an especially important time because it's typically the time of year where people are looking for organizations to give to. They're looking to make their year-end charitable contributions, and in many cases for tax purposes, but also because that's the time of year that they may have additional resources available to make those gifts. And it's a time of year that I believe is a great time to capitalize on individual giving. Most of the year, I know many organizations, and having spent a lot of time in fundraising myself, you work with major gifts, you work with corporate donations throughout the year, and many times at the end of the year. But it's also a great time in the fall to really work with individuals. And so I wanted to share some tips with you on boosting individual giving this fall. In light of everything that's going on and uncertainty in the world, there are still plenty of people that have resources to give. And if people don't have the resources that they're used to having, they may have some to give, or there's other ways that they're looking to contribute to organizations that need help, especially during the holidays. So let's get started with this. I have 5 tips for boosting individual giving this fall. And the first one is really harnessing the power of your social networks. I know that everybody says this, but it's really an important tool that you have that you don't really have to spend a lot of money on using, and it allows you to really target the people that you want to, the audience that you're trying to get in front of, to really make your case for why it is that you need their support. So, a way that you can do this is to kind of go through your donor lists, pull them out, dust them off, look at who's given in the past year, who maybe has lapsed in giving. Take a look at your board of directors, any other, kind of advocates that you have, and really kind of hone in on who are some of the people that are on this list that have social influence. They may not be my biggest donors, but they know a lot of people. And if I get my message in front of them, they can get that message in front of others. So the first is to really gather your strongest social influencers, come up with some verbiage that they can share about your organization, what you're doing, why you need help, what impact it's going to make, and pull that into kind of a mini campaign through social media. And something I've seen done really well in the past few months is to really use peer to peer fundraising. And if you've never done it, it's pretty simple to do. The idea is that maybe you find 10 people that love your organization and have some influence with others that are willing to say that they're going to fundraise $500 for your organization, and they set a goal, maybe through Facebook, and they reach out to their networks of people to help raise that $500. You end up getting the money, the word gets spread through their social networks, and you end up with a lot more eyeballs on your mission and your brand, but also potentially some new individual donors that you can add to your database and add to your cultivation process as you move through the year. The other reason that it's important is that it's kind of asking everybody to do a small lift instead of 1 or 2 people doing a heavy lift with giving, and asking people to give what they can to a goal that's manageable and that is achievable. So 10 people, ask them to raise $500 for your organization. It's similar to the birthday fundraisers and all kinds of stuff that people are doing online, but ask them to direct it to your mission. And then what's important is that provide them with some key talking points, or maybe some drafted social media posts that they can share online, so that it makes it easy for them to advocate for your organization in the way that you want people to be talking about you, especially during the holidays. The second way to kind of boost individual giving is to participate in Giving Tuesday. And I know that there's, a lot of different feelings about Giving Tuesday, but you really get to kind of harness the power of a social movement by participating, because There are going to be a lot of people talking about Giving Tuesday on social media channels. You can go onto the Giving Tuesday website and register to participate. They have social media posts that are already created. They have images and logos and hashtags. It really gives you a fast way to kind of get things going online, especially during holiday giving time, where you can say that you're participating. You're still going to need to create some posts about your message, your story, your mission, and what you need help with. You still need to set a giving goal. And that would be important to do, especially if you can show the little thermometer, on your organization's Facebook page, especially, and participate in Giving Tuesday. Every time you use those hashtags, every time that you tag Giving Tuesday, anyone who's watching what's happening with Giving Tuesday is seeing that. And so you kind of get to harness the power of their social movement by participating in that. You obviously want to make sure that you have donation links where you're sending people to a place where they can donate online and make it really super easy for them to give. And the easier you make it, typically, the more people will participate. But make sure you set a goal. Make sure that your message is time sensitive. So it's not that, hey, we're doing holiday giving and we're going to start in November and we're going to do something for Giving Tuesday and we're going to end it whenever we end it. Make it feel like people have some urgency to give. There's an urgency to participate. There's urgency to give on Giving Tuesday, or there's urgency to give at another specified time that you've determined for your organization. And make it short. Give it a week or give it a few days. Don't go on for months and months and months. People lose track of it. It's harder for you to recapture their attention without a lot of promotion. So be thinking in kind of short bursts how you can capture people's attention, get them to give, and listen to what it is that you're talking about, and how you impact the community. The third way is through Amazon wish lists. If you do not have an Amazon wish list for things that you need for your organization that may not be necessarily cash, but you need stuff, it's a great way to harness giving during the holidays. Go on Amazon and create a wish list. You can post that link on your website, in your social channels, and let people know that if they go online and they purchase something, that it's helping your organization. You're going to have to tell them why and how, but that order then comes directly to you, especially with social distancing in place and people still being cautious about how much they're interacting or volunteering to some degree. It's a great way for people to get involved. It's also a great way to reach donors who aren't close by, who can't just go pick up a bunch of stuff and drop it off to you, but that can order it from far away and it still can make it to you and you can thank them for their contribution. So if there's stuff that you need, Amazon wish lists are a great way to do that. It's also a way for you to kind of stock up on things that you know you're going to need in first and second quarter of the following year. So you can make those asks during the holiday season and really stock up on those things. So don't be afraid to list the items on there, write down how many, put a quantity to it, how many of something that you need, and create some urgency around that for people as they're looking to get involved during the holidays. So let's talk about appeals. Number 4, the big appeals. So a lot of times when you think about appeals, you think about mailing appeals and creating some beautiful piece that goes into the mail and hopefully gets opened by someone on the other end. And hopefully they read through it or return the envelope and give and put a big check in it so that when you open it, you're going to reach your goal for your mailing appeals during the holidays. It's not necessarily happening that way. Sometimes it does. It depends on your audience and your donor base. But here's something to think about, maybe try this year. Think about your appeal in 3 parts. Think about your holiday giving in 3 months. Consider doing a mid-October appeal. And I would probably recommend that if you don't have a donor base that responds to mail, that responds to mailing pieces, that you probably don't spend the money in investing in mailing. If you know that your audience does respond that way, then you most definitely want to implement that. You don't want to take the chance that you're not going to receive those gifts. However, you want to integrate some type of e-campaign as well. And it's okay if people get the mailed campaign and an e-campaign. They can choose which way they'd like to give. It's nice to have options, but consider doing one appeal that goes out in October, probably mid-October, that kind of kicks off the giving season, that talks about your needs. and what it is that you're trying to do, what impact you're trying to make in the community, and put some dollar values to that. Let people know if they give $50, it does XYZ. If they give $100, it does this. If they want to make even greater impact, please consider $1,000 or more, whatever makes sense for the giving threshold for your organization. Then all of the people that don't respond to that appeal, you want to hit them again in November. And they should get an appeal that's probably themed somewhere around Thanksgiving, you giving thanks, helping others, where it's also asking them again a second time to participate in your holiday giving season and the impact you're trying to make in the community. If they don't respond to that second one, you're going to send out a third, and you're going to send it out to the remaining people on that original list who have not responded, probably the first or second week of December, second week at the latest, just because the closer you get to the holidays, the more time people are taking off or breaks, and the likelihood of them missing your communication is higher. So, probably by the second week of December, you want to send out kind of that final piece. And it could include, the results of Giving Tuesday. I think this year it's coming up December 1st. But it's also something kind of recaps, here we are, we're at the kind of the last phase before the holidays. We really need your help. Here's what the gift can do. Please consider making it, and provide them the opportunity to make those donations online. I have seen organizations do all three of those by mail. And it works because that's how their donors give typically. But I've also seen it work really well through e-campaigns and being in front of people on a more frequent basis because there's a lot going on. The thing I would say is that you just have to know who your audience is, and that will more than likely best determine how it is that you're going to lay out those pieces. But either way, I would try it three times, October, November, December, and see how it goes. Especially if you're doing e-campaigns, it's not going to cost you any more to do it. And if you make your message thoughtful, then your donors will appreciate getting it. The fifth thing that I would recommend that you do to boost individual donor giving this holiday season is to have some personal touch. Right now, because we're all still very much virtual and spending a lot of time in front of our computers, getting an e-campaign or something like that may not be the most meaningful way to reach out to people. That's a tongue twister. But you can make it more personal. And here's what I would recommend, and it helps get your board involved too. Reach out to your board or committee members, volunteers within your organization who would be willing to make some personal calls to people. And you don't necessarily have to make those calls to ask them to give, although there's maybe some people on your board and committees that want to do that, and that's absolutely fine. But reaching out to people to really just touch base and let them know that you're thinking about them, especially during the holidays. And here's an update from our organization about where we're at and what we're doing. And just kind of guide them along what has transpired, since the summer into the fall and where you're headed into the new year, and just bring them up to date and let them know that there's a few ways that they can get involved. One, we'd love it if you would consider making a financial gift before the end of the year. Two, you can, help spread the word about us on social media and help advocate for us. And three, if you have any volunteer opportunities or doing virtual volunteer opportunities, please let them know about that because it might be something they want to be involved in. And if nothing else, let them know that there are that you would love to connect with additional people that you feel like would be interested in your mission, and allow them to provide some follow up with maybe folks that they could invite to maybe an upcoming tour or a Zoom update or something in the coming year. But having your board and other folks besides your development team or even some of your leadership team reach out. The board, they're volunteers and they should be some of your best advocates. And so having them reach out is important. The other thing that they can do is as people give, they can reach out personally to thank people, just a straight thank you. And it would also be helpful for you to do something personal in a follow-up for those gifts by doing a handwritten note. And I know that's something that, people have said for years, it's important to have the personal touch, but especially now, it's really important. And that handwritten note goes a long way. So the fifth way is to really engage your board, have them reach out, talk to folks. You might be surprised at some of the gifts that people give just because they got that phone call and feel a little bit more engaged in working with your organization. A couple tips to just wrap this up for you. When you are doing any type of social media campaign, you want to tag people, organizations. You want to thank, your their companies, if they're foundations or any other sources. That kind of public recognition, as long as the donor is okay with it, is a really great way to spread the word and to reach into networks that are following those people or organizations so that they see your message and see that there's a connection. So don't be afraid to tag people, it's important. You want to use photos and videos as much as you can, even though we're all most of us are all looking at social media probably more than we should be right now. Whenever I see a video or photo, and generally speaking, by research, people are more inclined to spend time looking at it, clicking through it, and doing something with it than it just being text. So don't be afraid to, even if you have to go find some stock photos, or take some, photos of, your organization that you can share, do it. It's worth it. And the videos don't have to be long. They can be 30 seconds, they could be a minute, they could be 10 seconds, just something that breaks up the momentum of just putting out text. Those will go a long way. Using hashtags will go a long way. So picking things that represent your organization or your mission. If you're using keywords in those hashtags, others who are following those are interested in that, are going to see it, or they have a higher likelihood of seeing it. So that will help you promote your campaigns a little bit more. You can also look at, especially if you're doing Facebook, you can look at running some Facebook ads for the holidays and taking your messaging from your posts and putting it into an ad. You can really get into some very inexpensive ways of promoting that and really targeting an audience in a specific zip code area, with certain demographics that you may want to get in front of or want your message to get in front of. And then don't forget, the personal piece. It's always pays to thank people. It's the one thing that I know we all get caught up in doing just because we're busy with a lot of other things. And sometimes we forget to say thank you. Thanking donors is so, so, so important. It's like the number one rule of fundraising. So please thank people, help them feel good about the gift that they're making, help them feel good about the impact that they're making, and make sure that you follow up with them after the holidays so that they come back. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that's helpful and easy enough to kind of implement as you're planning what to do during the holiday season, which is fast approaching. If you have any questions or need some help or direction, feel free to reach out. I'm here. I'm happy to help you and point you in the right direction. And if you need some additional information on our business and what we do to help organizations, please visit www.mymabs.com. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.